men and women have the same rights, privileges, and accesses when it comes to equality under the law and access to certain things like education.
Absolutely not.
No.
No, the court systems are all messed up.
No. I'm saying, do women, right, enjoy all the same rights and privileges that men do?
Enjoy
in the West?
Oh, the rights and privileges? Yes.
Yes.
Voting, all of that. Yeah.
I don't.
Actually, more.
How do you not?
I don't, because I mean, even though we have certain rights, I feel like at the end of the day, if I vote or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying, that shit is just being tossed to the fucking side. You know what I'm saying? Men run this world, period. Like, as much as we want to sit here and believe that we run shit, men
so what
really
is your argument that your vote doesn't count?
My vote will never count, to be honest with you.
You know that
as much as I want to sit here and be for women and women rights, I'm for it. But I know for a fact, in reality, my vote does not give up my voice.
I would actually argue that women have more rights and privileges than men do in 2023.
What about the wage
gap?
Well, how about this? Name one. Wage gap. Okay, we'll address that in a second too. I would argue. Can you name one right or privilege that a man has that a woman doesn't?
That a man has that a woman
doesn't? Yes. Name one right or privilege outside of maybe being able to have sex with girls and not be judged for it.
Period.
Name one privilege or right that men have that women don't.
Let me think about that, to be honest with you.
All right, I'll come back to you. Okay. And then you said something about what? I'm sorry.
The wage gap.
The wage gap is a myth.
It's not real. It's not just because of what he's gonna say, but it's also women if I studied it, women don't ask for enough. And so that wage gap, when they actually do the study and the statistics, doesn't account for how women don't speak up and ask for it. A man will say, yo, I'm big D mofo, you need to pay me or I'm out. And they'll willingly leave to another place and they'll get a higher bump. So when you look at the wage gap, it doesn't account for any of those discrepancies at all.
That's just one small one.
Yeah.
What, you're going to say something? Go ahead.
I would say that addresses like the privileges aspect of it, because I think men in this culture are much more often raised to be, you know, confident, aggressive, go after what they like.
What? Yo, let me tell you this real quick. Because this is a little thing for me.
Come on.
Hey,
bring it on.
So women, we are told our entire lives when we're born and watching the movies and societal standards, you can be anything, you can do anything, everyone will always be there. The world owes you. The world is your oyster, blah, blah, blah. Prince Charming, all the movies, right? Me neither. But regardless of the fact, society standards, it is there. So even if we weren't raised that way, and you were a little tough, you go out into the world, there will be someone to take care of you, right?
My experience was like that as a woman.
Wait, déjame terminar. For men, the world owes you nothing. You better work for everything you have. You better not ask anybody for anything. No one will ever be there for you. So when it comes to that's the only reason I'm here. When it comes to this kind of stuff, I don't want to demonize women. I want to get women to understand what is actually happening. And the reality of what's happening is, while we're told, you can look at the way we're dressed, like look at the little cute little things. I just had to say, hey, yo, Aaron, can I come onto the podcast? And I'm on here in front of millions of people, while there's a bunch of podcasters that wish that they could come here and have this clout and can't. That in itself, there's so much. I came to Miami and I have so much opportunity, 10 times more than men. When my career, I thought being a woman was the problem because patriarchy, because crazy. And then I realized, like, oh, I have the golden ticket. Now I got a company in England and I have a company in LA, all men working for it. All I got to do is create content all day and they do the actual work.
You make a good point about women. I make a lot of points.
Yeah. And then you think about how many of them try to unalive themselves. And that's the real issue of where this whole thing started from. There are so many places for men to go to because there are so many men that are dealing with mental health issues and dealing with court systems and women taking their children and taking their money and taking everything. And there isn't anything for men. But for women, you take my kid, court system. You don't pay child support, court system. I want to off myself, 100 different places to go to. Do you see what it's
all right,
not
let's let her get a chance to respond. Go ahead.
I'm not discounting your points. I think you make a lot of really good points. I think that, yeah, you're right. Like, we could text somebody and be on the show. Like, yes, do women win custody more often than not? 100%. I think where you fall short of that argument, though, is that we're all here because somebody considers us attractive. So that was what
Period.
I grew up with in the culture, is that as a woman, your value is equated to what you look like, and you're supposed to sit around and wait for a man
Right.
who
Okay.
made the money to
Okay.
come and save you.
Perfect. Absolutely.
Right.
And
A
so
man
I
found
think
you
you're right
attractive,
too.
that's
It's
why you're
like
sitting
Right,
here.
right.
you said, men are taught not to ask for anything. That's true too.
Mhm.
I think that's why they're taught to say what they want,
You
not
don't think
just
that's
ask.
hard? You don't think that's hard?
I
you
think
don't
it
think
is
that
hard,
it's
but
hard
I think
to be
that
in a
it's harder.
society-
It's harder
as
to be
a woman-
raised not in that culture. It's hard to be raised to wait and then be taught to go after what you want, as opposed to being raised to go after what you want. And then you get into the
No, no,
real
no, no,
world
no.
and you're
What do women say when we say like for me, right? As a woman, I say to a man that I'm dating, I don't want to do it alone. I don't. I want to do it with someone. And so if they misconstrued that for like, leave me alone, go ahead and leave me alone. But as a woman that has dealt with manipulative other women, that has also had to live more like a man, I didn't, this life of mine, it was not given to me. I came from the bottom.
100%
My mom always
agreed.
tells me the women from my barrio did not make it out,
No,
right?
same, but
I
I
think
think
the
it's
Right, and
discussion,
so-
hold on, to keep things, and
but it's
I'm going to come
hard.
back to you about how women are oppressed, like what you were saying with the voting. The
Oh, yeah, let me
discussion
think
was on the
about that.
wage
I
gap.
forgot.
So
Yeah.
you're saying that there's a wage gap because women, because they're gender?
Yeah, I would say that there's a wage gap, not only a wage gap, but I would say like a wealth gap. And I'd say that kind of goes back to like up
wealth,
until
like
until
wealth?
the 90s, women couldn't have a credit card.
You know that was
Like
a
up until
status.
97, a man.
97.
97.
A woman couldn't have a credit
No,
card.
no,
till
you
19
didn't. You
I mean,
didn't
I
let
don't
me
know. I
finish
think my
that
mom
last
had one.
point. Up until 97, a man could SA his wife, and it was not illegal under the law. If you were married, you could not charge a man with SA up until the year of 97. So I think there's a lot of ways that women have been institutionally oppressed. And number one, like just simply not being able to have a credit card, not being able to have your own bank account, like that kind of shit was going up until the 90s. And so a lot, like, I think marginalized cultures like are the same in a lot of ways, that it's like you've had your shit cut off for a long
Wage
time. And so
gap.
now you say, oh, now we're all equal, so we all have the same start. Well, it's like we started way the fuck back there.
Okay. So you're saying that the reason why women earn less and there's a wage gap is because of SA being allowed until 1997 within the confinements of marriage, and because women didn't have access to credit cards?
Yeah, I would
Stop
say
it.
institutionalized
You guys remember-
financial oppression. That is the definition
You
of
remember that
financial
women being a
institutional
household
oppression.
wife, being a housewife used to be a status symbol. That's how we got into this mess. I've been through the history. So where women got confused is we started being told, oh, you don't have rights like a man. You can't vote like a man. You can't work like a man. You can't be in charge of your own finances. When that actually used to be a status symbol, because the poverty line was so great. To be a housewife actually was a status. To not have your own credit card, not have your own money, not have to worry about anything was a status symbol. And through history, we can see that because of the women's suffrage movement, which was valid. I'm not going to be like, but it was valid. But we got tricked right now because we're looking at it as like this demonic thing. Like, how dare I not have these rights and possibilities, when really it was a status symbol and it just changed.
Okay,
It's
hold on,
history.
hold on.
I mean, that doesn't really. So
Yeah.
you didn't. Well, you still have to explain. Remember,
Yeah,
you
but
have to.
I mean, I know, but I'm,
Do you remember what the
listening
question
to
was
this.
for
The
you?
question was something about voting or whatever.
No, the question was, name one right or privilege that men have that women don't, outside of being able to have sex with women without judgment. Incredible. Yeah. When you're ready to answer that, let me know, and then you can interject.
I'm so sorry.
Remember
I'm off
that
this.
started with
I've been
you.
into this. I've been into this. I'm so
I think
sorry.
Yeah, that's
okay,
yeah.
because,
So
you know-
that's because you made that assertion. So I'm asking you, can you name one?
The vibe.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, there isn't really. I'll give you the answer.
I mean, you're right. There isn't, but I mean, it is what it is.
So then you're
dude.
incorrect.
I guess my opinion is incorrect.
Yes.